I definitely saw that they made him much more of an evil character, whereas in the final film, he's just a sort of trickster god sort of figure.
A little Loki. Loco Loki.
When you know, this movie, I've never lived in a world without Beetlejuice. It's so iconic. Cartoons and theme parks and stage musicals that are horning people up all over the land. And
certain kind of person.
You know, it feels inevitable. Of course this was going to happen, but it didn't have to. It took a lot of, it's just one of those great creative stories, stories of people collaborating together to make something totally weird. And I especially think about if we move to a place where AI is writing stuff, you would never get a Beetlejuice. Or, hey, let's say AI isn't generating the stuff, but we're sort of feeding something into an algorithm of, oh, great AI, should I greenlight this movie about the weird demon beetle man? And it would say, no, of course not. And that's all. That's all I wanted to point out. It's also great. I mean, you're seeing all these people sort of at the beginning of their careers.
Yeah.
And people who will work a lot together or, you know, who or sort of define their star personas like Tim Burton, like Danny Elfman and Michael Keaton and Winona Ryder. And it's just very exciting to see that.
Danny Elfman
did the music.
Okay. And I love the score.
Okay. So, but where did Beetlejuice come from?
Yes, please tell me.
Okay. Well, so there's basically 3 credited writers of Beetlejuice. We have Michael McDowell and Larry Wilson are credited with story by. Michael McDowell and Warren Scarron wrote the actual screenplay. In like the stage musical and in the upcoming Beetlejuice 2, it says like based on Beetlejuice created by Michael McDowell and Larry Wilson. Really seems like Michael McDowell is the guy that all of this starts with.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say, first of all, Michael McDowell very sadly died of AIDS in 1999. He was only 49 years old. He was an extremely prolific writer of pulp horror novels. In the 80s, Stephen King said he's the finest writer of paperback originals in America today.
Wow. And
Stephen King later worked with McDowell. McDowell wrote the screenplay for Thinner, the adaptation of Stephen King's novel Thinner.
That ending up being kind of a sad, ironic movie for him.
Oh, you know, I've never seen it or read it.
No, I mean, that's what happens when you have AIDS.
Oh, I got you. Oh,
Thinner.
God. Michael McDowell, he was fascinated with death. He was a collector of death memorabilia. This included things like the plaques from infant coffins, presumably like very old. I hope
infants are universally young. Yeah,
that's true.
Okay.
I mean, I hope he wasn't like.
I got it. Yeah. Right. Just taking them. Got it.
I'll take that. He got a PhD. And his thesis was called Changing American Attitudes Towards Death, 1825 to 1865. One thing he wrote about was basically the American attitude and contrasted with other cultures. And specifically, he cited Japanese and Chinese cultures. And he said, quote, not for anything specific, but just for their way of treating the supernatural in a straightforward fashion in a way that Americans never quite get as a part of life. End quote.
Like running alongside parallel existences with those that have died? That they're all around and that's not a big deal.
Yeah, that it's not a big deal, that this is a thing that's going to happen to all of us. It informs everything, every part of our lives. And he was just fascinated with the way that people don't talk about it, don't think about it, don't like to ask questions about it. So he wrote tons of just cranked out novels, and he got contacted by George A. Romero's company. George A. Romero is the director of Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead, our previous episode. He was developing a TV show, an anthology horror series, and they called Michael McDowell and they're like, hey, do you want to come work on our show? And he's like, I sure do. And then they realized they had contacted the wrong Michael McDowell and they were like, oh, sorry. And they were embarrassed, but they're like, you don't write horror, do you? And he's like, I do. It just so happens I do. And so he sent them his work and they hired him. Yeah. He wrote 11 episodes of that show. He also worked on a revival of Alfred Hitchcock Presents, including an episode that was directed by Tim Burton. So he wanted to move over to movies, to writing movie scripts. Ghostbusters and Poltergeist were big movies from the time. And he saw those and thought, what if you had good ghosts?
Yes.
Okay. So he meets a guy named Larry Wilson, who is interesting sort of producer slash executive slash writer who's kind of moving between the world of being an executive, producing his own stuff and writing his own stuff. But he had a company called Pecos Productions, which optioned some of McDowell's books. They started to get to know each other, and they talk about McDowell's idea for Beetlejuice. They're like, there's something there. So they work on it together. They write a script together. We mentioned that Beetlejuice himself is much more of a villain in the movie. The Maitlands died a much more horrific death.
I'd heard that.
And the Dietzes had 2 daughters.
No, thank you.
No.
Ugh, that would have been horrible. Because then they would have been playing off each other, and it just was so much more interesting. That good thing. I hope.
No, yeah, that character can't work with us. I mean, the sibling character can only be an annoying sibling in that case.
Exactly.
A real person.
They would have been just playing off of each other too much. It couldn't have been about just the interior life of a gothic person who's sensitive and not and weird, but not in the ways you think a gothic person is. I had heard that this movie did a lot for the goth culture and just humanizing it, normalizing it. Like, these aren't people obsessed with like who are mean, and like, I don't know what people thought of gothic people, but not that they were just sensitive and artsy.
And love theatricality and love Christmas.
Especially The Nightmare Before It.
Yeah. Hey, you were a goth. Were you inspired by Beetlejuice?
Yeah.
Were you Lydia
inspired
Dietz?
by Winona Ryder, not by Beetlejuice. I found her even in the Heathers. Just her whole thing. I just loved her whole fucking thing.
You know, I've known you for 12 years now. It's been the best 12 years of my life.
Oh.
We have a great relationship. We're
true.
Best friends.
What is
We have
happening?
a business together. We host a podcast together.
Are you about to propose?
2 wonderful children. Will you be my Sally to my Jack?
Oh, gross.
And in this entire time, you've always called the movie Heathers the Heathers.
Yeah.
And it's just Heathers.
Did I just do it again?
Yeah.
I listened to the Jawbreaker episode where you correct me.
So I did this.
Oh, fuck yeah. There's nothing new under the Matt's sun.
Hey, nothing new under the lazy sun.
God.
At least you forget. You're like Dory, and I get to keep using material
Because I
on
explory?
you. Because you explore.
Because I'm a fish.
Yeah, because you explore, you asshole.
You fucking inquisitive cunt. R rating.
All right, what are we saying?
I don't know. Okay, I'm sorry. That's why all that preamble. You thought this was like the moment you unveil that I say Heather's wrong?
Yeah. I'm dropping some truth
I listened
on
to
you
it
now.
this morning. That is awesome. You idiot. Go on. I love you.
I love you. We've known each other for 12 years.
What
we
are
have
we
a
doing?
great partnership. Okay. Basically, they sell their script to the Geffen Company, to David Geffen's company, and they spend a year rewriting the script. And the executives there keep saying they don't like it. They want them to rewrite it. Larry Wilson said in a 2014 interview, this was hell. They were miserable. And it's interesting because he was simultaneously working as an executive, like giving shitty little writers notes, and now he's getting them. Okay.
Right.
But at this point, enter Tim Burton. Now, who is Tim Burton?
Yes, please.
We all know Tim Burton, but let's talk about him anyway. Okay, he was 28 years old when he was filming Beetlejuice. So, very young man. Born in 1958 in Burbank, California. Burbank is the inspiration for the town in Edward Scissorhands, just suburban nothingness.
Got it.
And he made homemade stop motion animated films.
Which is a tedious chore. So meticulous person right there.
Oh yeah. Good point. Obsessive, very, very ingesting sort of all of this pop culture, loved to watch TV. And he's like kind of put it like, didn't see a difference between Citizen Kane, which is something he references all the time, and like shitty local commercials or whatever. And it's like, that's sort of the high and the low art as meshing together is sort of something that recurs in all of his movies.
For sure.
Okay. He attended Cal Arts, which was, had developed an animation program sponsored by Disney that was like designed to be, our future animators are going to train here. We're going to have
a pipeline.
Exactly. We're going to have our animators teach here, and then we're going to get these guys come work for us. So this inaugural class in 1975 that Tim Burton was a part of also included John Lasseter, Brad Bird, John Musker, Henry Selick, Jerry Reese. So you have like, the basically some of the most powerful people in animation and just movies in general over the next 30 years in this class with him.
Only heated him out. Well, sorry, you can't just put photos on the page. I'm sorry. Matt is going through his notes. It is a PowerPoint, and he abruptly changes to new slides.
But you see the slides coming up. You even told me, don't put it in presenter mode. That way I can see what's coming up next. But every time you're like, oh!
No, this one picture of Tim Burton is just something.
Hello, all right. I'm Tim Burton.
He looks like a sweetheart, though. He looks like a Kramer goth.
Yeah, everyone speaks highly of him. They like working with him. When he talks about read interviews with him or listen to his commentaries, he'll always say, like, I don't know why I'm successful. I don't know what I do well. I don't know why people like me.
Oh.
Something just captured something. Okay, so
just that right there, you got me. Just the way he said it.
So he was an apprentice for Disney's animation division. He worked on movies like The Fox and the Hound, Tron, and The Black Cauldron, and he was very unhappy doing all of it. This was like,
the Black Cauldron wasn't black enough.
That was his note. Like, shut up, Tim. Yeah, this was like the absolute low point for Disney animation. There was the exodus of animators led by Don Bluth. The division wasn't being given the budgets it needed. It was years away from sort of its rebirth with Little Mermaid and the Disney Renaissance. Okay, so he directed a 6-minute stop motion film called Vincent, and then a 30-minute short film called Frankenweenie, both of them for Disney. And once he delivered Frankenweenie to Disney, they hated it and fired him.
Oh God! Go out on a limb and trim it with your scissor hands. Oof.
This, experience of having to work within the corporate machine as this weirdo goth man, with his little spirally people. You can see the avatars of him in every single one of his movies, like Lydia.
Right.
But then a few years later, once he's the biggest name in Hollywood, they put out Frankenweenie on VHS, and it's a big hit.
Yeah, I've seen it. Oh, I've seen it.
But Paul Rubens sees Frankenweenie, and he said 1 minute into it, he knew Tim Burton was the right guy to hire to direct the movie adaptation of Pee Wee Herman.
Yes, wow.
So they make Pee-wee's Big Adventure. It's a big hit. The studio who does Pee-wee, Warner Brothers, also has a deal with Geffen. That's how Burton gets hooked up with Geffen and with the writers of Beetlejuice. And Burton sees the script and he says, like, I could have written this myself. He loves it.
I mean, that's brilliant. And it shows what a visionary Paul Rubin is. And we would have Rubens, and he would have had to have been, because they both have the sensibility of taking something just seen as innocent, seen as this one-dimensional thing. Oh, that's a nice boy. That's a nice girl. That's a nice neighborhood. And peeling back the layers and showing you the grime, or just the meshing of like, yeah, this looks innocent. This looks right. But like, there's all this underneath
this darkness. And it can even be the same person, like Pee-wee, who can switch from.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Or that it's a great cover up for things, but it's also a horrible inability for the people who don't know how to assimilate to not know how to camouflage. For everything to be so same. It's particularly cruel to people who have no idea how to do what special things normal people are managing to do, instinctively know how to do.
But it's such work to have to fit in, such work to have to appear like you're normal.
Yes, but you have the faculties to do it. I do too, and I would choose not to. But someone like our son or anyone on the spectrum, where just a simple conversation looks like witchcraft. I mean, just that everyone instinctively knows the cues, and to one extent or another, people on the spectrum are lacking that because of their brain being bombarded with every other thing.
There's reporting that Tim Burton is on the spectrum, but
I wasn't saying it. I know you didn't want to say it unless it was true, but I can see in his meticulousness and his attention for detail and his need to keep his world small, and the way that a child knows everything about their house. He knows everything about, and he keeps it small so that he can know everything in model form.
And I think that's why his movies probably play so well for kids, especially when you're just absorbing everything about movies that you're watching.
You just have to learn that world. That's it.
And in a way that I just can't as an adult, that I could as a kid, and I'll just things sweep over me and then they're gone. Yeah, McDowell and Wilson, originators of the script. Once Burton comes aboard, they're like, they said everything turns around. It's great now. They're no longer miserable. This man named Warren Scarron is also brought aboard to help with the script. He's like a script. Name. He's a script doctor. He worked on movies like Top Gun. Basically, a script already exists. You come in, punch it up, make it funnier, make it more movie-ish.
I can see that guy being a nightmare.
But he had similar fascination with death. And so they vibed with him right away. And he went on to co-write Batman for Tim Burton. He combined the two Deeds children into one. He changed the ending from one where Lydia dies and then goes and spends the afterlife with the Maitlands to her being alive and choosing to spend it, which is like so lovely.
I love it.
Yeah.
And her parents are there and they are fulfilled in ways that they didn't.
Yeah. It's such a, like, ultimately she ends up in the same place, but it means so much more that she's living. Well,
and they say about ghosts that they exist because of unfinished business. And of course it's alluded to that the Maitlands weren't able to have children and that on this staycation, they were going to try again. And she even gets wallpaper that you can assume is for a nursery as their gift. Okay. And then what do you know? This little girl walks into her life.
Of course.
Yes.
Okay.
So that the reason why the afterlife for the Maitlands is this home is because they were always buying it. They bought the size of the house that they wanted to fill with children.
I certainly, the
you
realtor
knew that, but you didn't know that.
Yeah, because the realtor says, I just think someone with a family should live here, and then the score swells up, and Gene Davis looks down and
I didn't mean
apologizes, and then I know in the car it says maybe we can try again.
And that's like her sister-in-law or something. I know it's a family member. Just they don't really punctuate that, but Jane is a family member, so she would know something personal like that.
Okay, so yeah, there's sort of there's more going on there than I picked up on.
Shock.
Okay. Well, all right, but who's gonna play Beetlejuice? Enter Michael Douglas. Except under SAG, he's registered as Michael Keaton because there's already a Michael Douglas. Yeah, so Michael Keaton was 35 when they filmed this movie. He started as a
35.
Yeah.
How young of an guy was he when he started acting?
He started acting in the late 70s. I mean,
okay.
He was a stand-up comic and a stand-up comedian in Pittsburgh.
I believe it.
Before he moved to Hollywood, and then
he's got stand-up comic vibes.
He does.
In the best way possible.
So Night Shift is sort of his breakout role, and then he had Mr. Mom, which was a big hit, made him a star, basically.
Loved it.
For the mid-'80s, he's kind of pigeonholed in sort of forgettable comedies, and his career was on a bit of a downswing when
I did like Johnny Dangerously, though.
Beetlejuice came out. I've heard of these. I guess I've heard of that movie, but yeah, I don't know what any of these are. The Gung Ho, The Squeeze, The Dream Team.
I don't know of any of those. Just Johnny Dangerously, Night Shift, and Mr. Mom.
He so he's on the downswing. They can get him for value. But Tim Burton's idea was he wanted Sammy Davis Jr. to play Beetlejuice.
Well, you know what? That makes sense because if you look at the other lineup, there's no reason to have Dick Cavett and who else? Robert Goulet as these random
That's true.
boss parts. I mean, he's bringing in every campy cheese thing he can. Everything's just like, yeah, baby.
Showbiz lifers.
Because that's the most fish out of water. And like I had heard it explained that Michael Keaton in the world after you've been dead for a long time, he is what the over preoccupied with status, the way that the parents are over preoccupied with the newest things, modern stuff, being artsy, and having money and social capital and all that. That is what Beetlejuice is in the afterworld, and he got punished for it. And so
who punishes him?
Juno, his caseworker. Obviously. No, I think actually he works for Juno. I don't know what punished him, but you can get punished in the afterworld, but I guess he tried to seek too much status in the afterlife.
This is my frustration still with this movie is it's throwing so much at you and I just get to a point where like, I can't track this. I'm not going to try.
I mean, this is after 100 watchings and after reading stuff, watching some YouTube videos, but, yeah, it is meant to be chaos. That's why they keep repeating that this thing reads like stereo instructions. The whole movie is that they didn't even It's just supposed to be a contained ball of chaos.
No, I know. And I made this, we were talking about it last night after the movie ended, and we're talking about it with our kid, and I make this complaint, and you both say, that's the point. And like, I know it's the point, but it takes away my enjoyment because I don't know what the stakes are to any of this, and I don't know what the rules are, and I don't know what the cause and effects of these things are. And, you know, Beetlejuice comes into the movie and suddenly the camera gets really shaky. It's literally like wobbling around.
I didn't notice that.
He's totally throwing everything off.
Okay.
And that is the experience of watching it, but it's not that enjoyable.
Okay.
Yeah. David Geffen said, we're not doing Sammy Davis Jr., you fucking idiot. You'll get out of my office, you freak.
Because then it would only be about that. It's too big of a get. Look at, stop it. Be still my heart. You showing me a picture of Winona Ryder as a fucking child. And can we please pull up the picture of me from the same fucking year? Oh my God.
Years old while they filmed
Lucas.
This movie.
Oh.
You know, I figured you would know Lucas.
Oh.
That was the movie that Tim Burton saw and why he wanted to hire her. But here are some other people who auditioned for this role for Lydia: Sarah Jessica Parker, Brooke Shields, Lori Loughlin, Diane Lane, Molly Ringwald, Juliette Lewis, Jennifer Connelly. And the runner-up was Alyssa Milano.
Excuse me, all-star cast. Those are all good possibilities. I'm so glad it was Winona Ryder.
Play this. They wanted to be in this weirdo movie.
Because when do you ever get to just be different? Mm-hmm. And they want you to do it. And they're all theater kids at heart. You know, they all are different. You can play the hot one, but you don't come up and be an actress.
Unless you secretly are this.
No, not even a secret. I mean, you come up through the ranks. You do all things. Being in theater does not make you cool.
She would later work with Tim Burton on Edward Scissorhands and then the 2012 remake of Frankenweenie. Oh, and I forgot to say Michael Keaton also was Batman. He went on to be in Batman Returns, and then 2019 he reunited with Tim Burton for Dumbo. The only good thing about Dumbo. Now let's also just mention Danny Elfman, who did the music. He was the lead singer of Oingo Boingo, and they had songs like Dead Man's Party and Weird Science. And Tim Burton and Paul Rubens were big fans of Oingo Boingo. And they got in touch with him, asked him if he would be interested in making the music and scoring their film, Pee-wee's Big Adventure. He was very nervous about this because he'd never worked in film before and also had no formal training. But he did a great job. And what Danny Elfman, I still like Danny Elfman today, but especially back then, what he could do is make scores that sounded like the movie and specifically like the characters.
Okay.
Like you hear the Batman theme and you're like, that's Batman. That is exactly how Batman feels.
I'm sounding like Jaws, but that sound you hear as soon as you start sweeping across the model of the Beetlejuice world. I can't do it, but it's the Beetlejuice sound.
It's the most important, maybe the most important element tying all of this together.
Yes.
It sets the tone. It makes you feel like what kind of movie you're in.
I'm in the Beetlejuice world right now.
Yep.
Like there's no denying it. Yep. Same with Jaws. Same with My Heart Will Go On. You can't deny what that song does for Titanic.
I don't deny that it puts you in Titanic. I can hear the recorders. I can feel myself playing hot cross buns on a recorder in 4th grade. So Danny Elfman, Tim Burton's longest collaborator, basically did the music for every one of his movies except for 3, including Ed Wood, which came right after they had a falling out after Nightmare Before Christmas.
What was the falling out based on?
I think, don't quote me on this.
Oh, God.
I didn't look up the reason. I think I've heard that it was because Danny Elfman did the singing voice for Jack Skellington, and I think recorded the speaking voice, and then he was re-recorded by Chris Sarandon. I don't know. This is like why did Blink-182 break up the first time? I bet it was because of Boxcar Racer.
Wow.
Which was Tom DeLonge's side project that Travis Barker was the drummer for. Now that's not reported anywhere, but of course, this happens, and a few years later they break up. It had to play a role. Okay. This movie, Beetlejuice, it was shot mostly at Culver City Studios. Early 1987, but then they shot for 10 days on location in East Corinth, Vermont. Yeah. The movie is set in Connecticut, though. $13 million budget. That's like average for a comedy, but low for a movie with so many special effects. But the man who plays Otho, Glenn Shadix, said, the set of Beetlejuice was one of the most exciting and fun and hilarious sets that any of us had ever been on. There was a real chemistry between the actors. We all thoroughly enjoyed one another.
No.
As we talk about the movie, we will shout out. I want to, tons of people work on movies. Let's name them and give them the credit. But especially here, where there's so many there's production design and set design and puppetry and makeup, special effects. We'll call out these people as we go. The animated series you didn't know about.
I mean, now that I see it, of course, the eyes of Lydia Dietz are so. There's only eyes like this.
They're iconic. Yeah. Big hit in the late 80s, early 90s. They made a bunch of changes. Most importantly, Beetlejuice is nice this time, and he and Lydia are friends. Watching the movie, does that make sense to you?
Yeah. I feel like if they'd let Beetlejuice stay around long enough, he would have assimilated and been a nice guy.
Yeah.
And just maybe always up to little schemes.
Which was the show.
Beetlejuice.
Exactly what the dynamic was in the show.
Well, that's where I see it going. I mean, the eternity is a long time.
That's true.
And I love the idea of like you have a place for where you're going after you die, even if that's not really what happens. I'm sure in Lydia's mind, when she dies, she will just join her family the same way she has, and forever and ever, the family they build can just stay in that house. It doesn't really make sense because grandchildren, they won't all fit in this house, but.
No, they won't. And then, how old is the oldest person there? Are they 8,000 years old? And
I guess it just takes one of the kids not wanting to live that way for that to cut it off, because it's your afterlife. It's whatever
like George
works
Carlin's
for you.
Joke about if he could see us now, he's looking down and smiling at us all. And he's like, you ever think about what that would look like? Yeah.
No, that's not at all what I think that joke sounds like, but okay.
That's exactly what it sounds like.
No.
Theme park. Beetlejuice was like sort of the mascot for Universal Studios, the Mickey Mouse of Universal Studios in a way. Big stage show at the theme park that closed in 2016. And then Beetlejuice the musical opened in Broadway in 2019. It's now touring the nation.
Who's this Joker playing fucking Beetlejuice? He looks ridiculous.
I don't know.
I don't like his hair.
Sequel. There is a sequel. Beetlejuice 2. I'm sure it'll have a different name. Although I wish it was just called Beetlejuice 2. I missed just the numbered sequels, but
is this the same person that plays Wednesday in the current show?
That is right. Yeah.
That's smart.
Jenna Ortega. Tim Burton is the series director on the Wednesday show for Netflix. And it's like the first successful thing he's done in 15 years.
Should we watch it?
I'm not watching that shit.
Oh, fuck. Okay. Why not?
I'm just
people
done.
like it.
I'm done with Netflix shows.
If they're good, they can't help it. We can just be done with the bad ones.
I don't think it's good though.
Oh, you don't think Wednesday's good? I don't know. I haven't heard.
I've heard it's bad, but
oh, well, fuck.
I'm sure it's a thing where like it takes 7 episodes to get good, and then you'll get like a tease, and then, ooh, who's that? Is that Morticia Addams in the 8th episode? And
all
then
right, come on, go on. Yeah. Enough with this tease.
Anyway, Burton said principal photography is 99% completed. They got interrupted by the actor strike, but he's like, once the actor strike's over, we only need 2 days and we can finish it. Yeah, this movie's coming out September 2024. Michael Keaton, Winona Ryder, Catherine O'Hara are all back. Jenna Ortega's playing Winona's child, and Danny Elfman's back doing the score. And it seems like this is mostly being done by Tim Burton's Wednesday people. So
okay,
we have that to look forward to. Are you excited about this?
Yes, and like always, our timing is perfect on releasing freaking on topic
only
content.
1 year from now.
Yeah, great. We'll have the 1 year anniversary of this podcast episode.
But it seems like he's been kind of miserable with the movies he's had to make in the past 10 years. But he said about Beetlejuice 2, he said, quote, "I really enjoyed it. I tried to strip everything and go back to the basics of working with good people and actors and puppets. It was kind of like going back to why I liked making movies."
Perfect.
End quote. If that's true, I'll be excited
Hell
to see
yeah.
it. If it's just a CGI goop fest, no thank you.
It doesn't sound like it will be. Can you please show me who this blonde is on your next? I cannot imagine who this is on your. What, is that a realtor? Oh God, it's Catherine O'Hara, my best friend. I'm sorry.
Sorry, that's a slide for later.
Oh, okay. Excuse us.
Angelica Houston was playing Delia.
I think that would have been good too, but this is so much better.
Tim Burton said, so Angelica Houston had to drop out because she got sick. And then Tim Burton has this quote, "Catherine's so good, maybe too good. She works on levels that people don't even know. I think she scares people because she operates at such high levels."
I totally
End quote.
can fucking see that.
Yeah.
But also, Catherine O'Hara met her husband on this set, who she's still married to this day.
Not Christopher Guest. What am I?
Christopher Walken. No. So, that would have changed the course of history. We might not have had Schitt's Creek. She hadn't married who she was supposed to marry on the Beetlejuice set.
Yeah, the ramifications.
It's astronomical.
Just think about them.
I
You can't.
just did.